Yesterday on a Saturday morning, the last year's Eastern Conference Finals champion in the Miami Heat were embarrassingly swept by the Milwaukee Bucks, where the Heat were not able to win a single game despite their whole roster being healthy except for Victor Oladipo. Heat fans were discussing what they saw and were honestly so shocked, since this really doesn't make sense for a team that was so dominant last year to crash down literally back to earth despite having the same roster as last year. So what actually went wrong with the Heat? Let's find out. What's going on YouTube? It's your boy AC3, back with a lit video, cause you know I'll drop the best content around here. First off, of course, I really want to thank each and every one of you guys for making this possible, since I honestly did not think we would make it this far when we started out, and I'm still pretty speechless. All I can say is from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers, and this really means so much to me and the gang. This might honestly be the beginning of something, and I really hope the gang keeps growing until we actually make it big. So if you're new here or still unsubscribed, you can make this happen by hitting the like and subscribe button. And other than that important announcement, hope you guys enjoy the video. The Miami Heat were by far the most disappointing team this year, when they went from the best team in the East last year to the first team being eliminated from the playoffs this year. If you watched all 4 games of the Bucks and Heat Series 2, the Heat just weren't looking like their usual selves. So what honestly went wrong? Well, first, let's start off with the Heat stars in Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, who played extremely poorly in all 4 games. They were both extremely underwhelming and put up stats below their season averages, and none of them scored even close to 20 points in the 4 games, so obviously they didn't stand a chance. Just think about this: in the first game, Jimmy Butler had one of the worst games in his career, where he went 4 for 22 from the field, which is equivalent to a field goal percentage of 18.2%, and only put up 17 points. This was not the Butler we saw in last year's bubble, who was on a tear and put up 22.2 points, 6 assists, and 6.5 rebounds a game, but in these 4 games, Butler only averaged 14.5 points, 7 assists, and 7.5 rebounds on 30% from the field and 27% from 3, which is just absolutely atrocious for Jimmy Butler. No hate to him, but this series literally proved why Butler isn't a first-tier all-star such as Curry, Durant, or Giannis, and he really has to step it up next season, since this was honestly just pathetic. Bam Adebayo played slightly better than Butler, where he put up 15.5 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 4.3 assists a game on 46% from the field, but those are just mediocre numbers, and if you watch the series, the Bucks just dared him to shoot mid-range jumpers, which usually resulted in the Bucks winning that bet. Furthermore, Bam was basically outplayed by a washed Brook Lopez, which was just honestly really sad to see. As a result, Butler and Bam's performances were the first and biggest reason why the Heat fell off since the NBA Finals, but what else happened? The second reason why the Heat got swept so early on was their problems on the offensive end. The Heat's offense was extremely stagnant against the Bucks, where they literally struggled to create anything on offense, and it just looked like a completely different team than last year in the bubble. I rewatched some of the old videos of them in the bubble, and the offense was just flowing so well, where they were able to drive down the lane and kick it out to a wide open shooter, and therefore, there was a lot of ball movement, but none of this happened against the Bucks. The Heat players were not able to get to the free throw line, and were not able to drive into the paint, and in all honesty, the Bucks literally shut them down on defense. The Heat were not able to find any weaknesses in the Bucks defense, where for example last year, the Heat just would have Butler switch onto Bledsoe, which would result in an easy bucket, but Bledsoe isn't even on the team anymore this year, so the Bucks really don't have a liability. The Bucks defense have gotten way better too than last year, where Butler struggled immensely in this series since he was being guarded by elite defenders such as Giannis, Jrue Holiday, and PJ Tucker. The additions of those two have increased the Bucks defense significantly, and they actually shut down Butler. If you guys don't believe me, I have numbers to back up my point of the Heat's offensive regressing compared to last year, where last season, the Heat's offense was ranked 7th in the league, but now in this season, the Heat's offense is ranked 18th. This shows that the Heat have to work on their offense in the offseason, since they aren't going to make it far again in the playoffs if they play like how they did this year. Finally, the last reason why the Heat were so bad in the playoffs was their poor team chemistry and the slump of their players, but let's talk about the chemistry first. At the beginning of the season, the Heat were absolutely devastated with COVID protocols and injuries, which led to them having less time on the court together. Multiple players were gone, and at one point, the Heat didn't even have the 8-player minimum requirement against the Celtics, so the game had to be cancelled. They should be able to fix this problem in the offseason though, and they just have to play together more and be on the same page. But let's talk about the struggles of the Heat players and especially Tyler Hero. Hero was an amazing player in the bubble last year, where everyone thought he would be the next big superstar in the NBA, but he completely fell off this year and was just terrible. In the 4 games against the Bucks, Hero only averaged 9.3 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 1.8 assists on 32% from the field and 32% from 3. But in last year's playoffs, Hero averaged 16 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 3.7 assists on 43% from the field and 38% from 3, so you can see that Hero fell off in every category. I don't know what happened to him, but he's got to figure it out in order for the Heat to be successful next year. The next and final player I want to talk about though is Duncan Robinson. Although Robinson played well in the first game of the series, he wasn't the lights out shooter we saw in the bubble last year, and he only averaged 10.3 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 0.8 assists on 38% from the field and 37% from 3, which, similar to Hero, was a decrease in every category compared to last year's playoffs. You can't really blame Robinson though, since he is basically the only solid 3-point shooter on the Heat, and I think the Heat definitely need to sign a shooter in the offseason. Consequently, these are the reasons why the Heat played so poorly, and they have had it harsh, honestly, where people are calling them bubble frauds, and I really don't think people should discredit the Heat's success last year just because of a different environment than the normal NBA playoffs. But what do you guys think? Do you guys believe I nailed every reason and why the Heat were so disappointing, or did I miss any? Let me know about all your guys' thoughts in the comment section below, and if you made it this far, please hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate it if you did, and until next time, AC3 out!